Hey gang, welcome to the Ash Christine Designs podcast, episode number 6. This is a podcast primarily about knitting and knitwear design, but there have been a few crochet projects and other crafts thrown in here as well. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you are a new viewer, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If this is your first video on my channel, hello, welcome, I'm Ash. I am a knitwear designer and a small business owner. I'm operating out of the southern end of the East Coast here in the United States, where I live and have lived for the majority of my life. I primarily design patterns for kind of like intermediate knitters and crocheters. I design with the intention of nothing is too hard if you just give it a try. I'm somebody that firmly believes in until you can't do it, you can do it. So that's a little info about me if you have never checked out the podcast before. Again, hello and welcome. I hope you enjoy. Today is January 5th, 2021. This is the first podcast of the new year, which I'm super excited about. I have a couple things to talk about with you guys today, including some pattern news and some finished objects from last year, as well as some works in progress. I would have some stash acquisition to talk about today, but it unfortunately did not arrive. Maybe tomorrow it'll get here, but if not, then by next podcast, I will have it here and talk about it for you guys. You can find me on Instagram as Ash Christine Designs and on Ravelry as Ash Christine. You can also find my patterns on Ravelry as Ash Christine Designs, as well as on Etsy and Lovecrafts. I also sell stitch markers on Etsy under the shop name Vessel Stitch Co. And there is also a group for this podcast and kind of my whole designing thing. So that is the Ash Christine Designs Ravelry group, which I will leave a link to that and all other places that I have mentioned that you can find me at in the description box below. Jumping into the meat of this episode, I'm going to talk about the most recent released pattern here, which is the Clean Slate Fingerless Mitts. I'm planning on listing this podcast on Sunday, so by the time that you see this, the pattern will be live, as will all the coupon codes and everything. So the pattern's coming out Friday, the 22nd, or not the 22nd, excuse me. It's Friday the 8th of January. That's what they look like. I'm going to put one down and I'll just show you one. So it's a simple waffle texture with some marling instructions included and kind of just... I really like these. So a bit of a backstory about these. If you are a returning viewer, you might know this. Back in January of 2020, I released my Start Again Beanie pattern, which I'll have a picture right there, which is all about celebrating the importance of starting over, about how sometimes things don't work out the way that you planned, sometimes you stumble, sometimes something happens, and you gotta take a breather and you gotta start again. And how there's nothing wrong with that, there's no shame in that, that's just the human experience. So these were designed as a companion piece to those. These are called Clean Slate Fingerless Mitts, if I haven't said that already. These are the Clean Slate Fingerless Mitts, very similar, or the same texture, same marling instructions, everything, just designed to match the hat. And I called these Clean Slate because I figured Start Again, Clean Slate, and if I design something else, maybe it might be Breath of Fresh Air. No. But yeah, these are the Clean Slate Fingerless Mitts. These are now live on Ravelry, Etsy, and Lovecrafts. Anyway that you can find my patterns, these are going to be live. On Ravelry and Etsy, I will have coupon codes. I don't know if I'm able to do coupon codes on Lovecrafts, so I can't, unfortunately, state that for sure. I've looked in the past and didn't really see a way to do it, so unfortunately the coupon codes are only valid for Etsy and Ravelry. So valid from Friday the 8th of January until, I believe it's set for a week later, so like the 15th or something of January. You can get these 20% off if you use the code FRESHSTART, and that is valid on both Etsy and Ravelry. If you purchase the Start Again beanie with these Clean Slate mitts, or if you purchase the Clean Slate mitts and then and also the Start Again beanie, if you don't have either pattern, you can get these 50% off. The discount will apply automatically in the cart. That's going to be a forever discount. It's something that I had thought about doing because it's kind of like they go together, okay? And I'm sort of like, if you're in a place in your life where you're starting again and you need you just need something, and these are inspiring to you, I want you to be able to make a finished set, a finished set, matching set. with the fingerless mitts and the beanie. So this discount will apply to previous purchases. So if you already have the Start Again beanie and you add the Clean Slate to your cart, the discount should apply automatically to you, and it should be 50% off. That discount, again, will be a forever discount. So you'll be able to get these 50% off if you buy the Start Again beanie, or if you buy these and you go back to purchase the Start Again beanie in the future, then the Start Again beanie will be 50% off for you. Super, super excited to have these out. I'm really, really glad that these are the first pattern for 2021. I actually had something else lined up, and then these ended up working out first. These have actually been done since February of 2020. My original goal was to release them in March, but I didn't unfortunately get around to that. Life happened, as everyone knows. And then it was sort of like the summer, and it wasn't really the time to release a fingerless mitt pattern. And then autumn was jam-packed, as was the Christmas season, so I didn't really have a chance before now to release these. But I am really, really glad that they are out now, and I'm glad that they were the first pattern of 2021, because can't we all just use a clean slate? These were knit out of Yarn Bee Pigment and Fiber yarn in the Raindrop Hum colorway, which is the same colorway that I used for the Start Again beanie. So when you purchase the pigment, the Yarn Bee Pigment and Fiber, it comes with 6 different colors, and I obviously used 3 for this and 3 for the beanie. It just made sense that mine aren't exactly matching, but they are coordinating, because I believe that there's a very similar color to this in the beanie, and I know that there's a gray and a blue in the beanie as well, just slightly different shades. So for me, having a coordinating set, but using up that yarn was more important than having it exactly matching. Make sure that you grab your fingerless knit pattern and get these cast on, because we could use a clean slate. Everyone can use a clean slate this year. So yeah, I'm super, super excited about those. I will put them down and stop talking about them, but I did have something else pattern news-wise to talk about. I forgot to grab it actually, but my Winter Freeze beanie, I'll pop a picture right there. My Winter Freeze beanie is going to be out January 22nd. Super, super excited about that. I will share more information as and when that release gets here, but I am super excited to see that one out in the world as well. So stay tuned, that one's coming. And finally, the last thing I want to share in the pattern news is the reveal of the Mystery Christmas Sock knit-along pattern. Up until now, it has been completely under wraps. By now, when this podcast goes live, the reveal post will be up on Instagram and my Facebook page, but I have not showed it on the podcast yet. So if you haven't seen it yet, maybe look away for a second while I talk about it, and then I'll tell you when you can look back. But here it is. I'm so excited about this. So that's side 1, and that's side 2. So this cute little motif around the cuff. You can see it there as well. And then also at the toe. I'm super, super excited with these. I'm so happy with the way that they turned out. I couldn't find the other one. I've worn these a couple times over the Christmas season and over the holiday season. And I washed them, and I can't find the other one, so I don't know where they went. I also am kind of concerned that they're starting to felt just a little bit. I put them in the washing machine the first time. So I washed the test swatch months ago when I cast these on, and the yarn says that it is machine washable. So I was like, cool. Washed the swatch a couple times, it came out fine, and then I washed the socks once, and they came out fine. And then it's the second time that I washed the socks that they feel just a little felted. It's not a lot. You can still see like the stitching and everything, but I don't know if you can tell when I pull it. Anyways, said all that to say, that's the reveal of this sock pattern. The other sock that's missing right now, I'll find it eventually. It looks the exact same. So it's the same color up here at the top and then at the toes as well. It's the exact same setup for each sock. So the main yarn used, by the way, if you looked away because you didn't want to be spoiled, you can look back. I won't show it again. The main yarn used is Uru Yarn Scoot Sock in the, I believe it's the Garland colorway. The information is on my Ravelry page, my project page, as well as in the pattern. So I believe it's the Garland colorway. And then all of the other little bits of yarn that I used were actually mini skeins. that I had in my stash, mini skeins and scraps. A couple of them were yarns that I had dyed myself years ago when I was still a yarn dyer. So a couple of them were from that, which was really, really special. But the majority of them were just random mini skeins that I had in my stash from swaps with friends, or that I got in an order or something, which is fun. So now that these are done and the reveal is finally live, I can't believe that. I will be updating the Ravelry pattern. Hopefully by the time this podcast goes live, I will have updated the pattern. But if not, then I will be updating the pattern with the reveal photos in there, as well as the reveal photos in there, as well as changing the name of the pattern. So if you didn't guess from the motif all the way around, or kind of like the details of this pattern, this is called the Holiday Lights Christmas Sock. I love it so much. It's something I've had in mind for literally like a year, and I finally get to share it with everybody. And I'm super, super excited. So yes, it's going to be the Holiday Lights, and in the parentheses, it's going to say Mystery Christmas Sock Knit Along 2020. Or Mystery Christmas Sock 2020. I'm super, super excited that the reveal photos are finally live and that everyone can see what it looks like. And I'm so, so happy because it's something that I have been working on for a really, really long time. Really quickly, I did want to mention about those socks that the knit along is coming to a close January 10th. So if you have not finished your socks, or if you have and just haven't put them in the Ravelry thread, make sure that you do that before end of day January 10th, because I will be closing the thread, the finished object thread, January 10th, and drawing prizes on January 11th. I will be contacting the winner via Ravelry, so do make sure that you post in that thread, so that way I can message you and let you know that you won, should your name be drawn. I think that's all that I have to say about that. Let's move into finished objects. I'm going to try to do these in order of when I finished them, but I think this is the right order. It's 2 finished objects, so you would think that I would remember. So up first is this beanie. This is one that I had talked about in last episode. It's based off my contrast chevron cowl pattern, so it has the same 3 chevrons. This is a beanie, obviously. So it's finished quotation marks, because I don't know how well you can tell on camera, but it's large. Not circumference-wise. Circumference-wise is actually a pretty good fit. It is large lengthwise. It's very, very tall. And I know that works for like a slouchy beanie and, whatever. But it's just not quite how I wanted it. I think that the issue was I measured my contrast chevron cowl and was sort of like, okay, that should work, Then I'll need to knit X amount of rows before I do the crown decreases and before I start the patterning. That way it'll fit in the center. Didn't take into account that my gauge was different because I was using a different yarn than what's called for in the contrast chevron cowl pattern, and I was also using a larger size needle. For some reason, that didn't occur to me until I actually finished the project, and then I was like, this is big. So, unfortunately, this is finished quotation marks because it's most likely going to be ripped out, but it is counted in my finished projects for 2020, so I left it as is to show you for today's podcast. But yeah, I really like the chevrons. Those came out pretty much exactly like what I was imagining, because I obviously was following my chevron cowl pattern. I do plan on writing this pattern up, but I think that I need to take a breather, rework a couple of things about it, figure out some details, and then kind of reknit it with a new gauge in mind, and kind of go for that. But I really do like how it came out. I think it's super, super cute. I love that these 3 colors go together so well. They kind of remind me of Charlie Brown. I don't know why. I said last episode that it kind of reminds me of like a ski hat, which I might call it the contrast chevron ski hat. I don't know yet. I will be running this up, but after I take a breath to kind of figure it out. Now that I'm looking at it in the viewfinder, it also kind of reminds me of Spider-Man. Don't know why. So this was knit on US size 8, 16-inch circular needles. I believe I have a pair of boy circular needles. I don't have a 16-inch size 8 circular needle in any other brand, so those are the ones that I go with for now. And I'm somebody that's use what you have until it's broken. And they work fine. There's nothing, it's not like wooden needles, which, if you don't know that about me, wooden needles kind of make my hands cramp up. Don't know why. I think it's because the yarn, it slows me down when I'm knitting because I'm so used to using aluminum and stainless steel knitting needles, so metal needles, that everything slides super, super easy. So I think that I get some wrist pain from the wooden needles because it just slows me down. But yeah, these were knit on US size 8, 16-inch circular boy needles. Got it in the end. Yarn is Big Twist Value in the deep red colorway, the black colorway, and the white colorway. So super, super simple. And this would have been like 3 skeins out of my stash, or 1 skein and then like a portion of the others. But so this would have been like 1 skein out of the stash, but unfortunately at this point I had already had this cast on, and I decided that when I was doing my 2020 Ravelry stash that I would not count yarn that was already on the needles for a different project, or that was already on the needles for a project. So a couple of the works in progress I'm talking about, their yarn is not counted in Ravelry, so I cannot count it as like, oh, I finished these 3 projects right off the bat, now I have 3 skeins out. Unfortunately, no, none of these count. My next finished object, which I actually finished just before New Year's, I finished it December 30th, are these pair of socks. These are the socks that I cast on for the Sockmas 2020 cow, which is a cow that was hosted by Natalie of the Nitty Nutty podcast. By the way, these sock blockers were a Christmas gift from a friend of mine, a knitting friend of mine that I did the Advent swap with. So I'm putting one down, so I'll just show you the other. So this main colorway is from the Milk Parlor in a one-of-a-kind colorway. I don't remember if it actually had a colorway name on it. I don't think it did. I don't think that this yarn dyer is actually dyeing yarn anymore. I went and checked out her shop, and I've seen her on Instagram and everything. It doesn't really look like that's what she's doing anymore. Which is really sad because I really, really liked her yarn. The heel color is a mini skein that she sent me with this skein. I knit these, if you've been following the podcast for a while, or if you're following me on Instagram for a while, you'll know this already. But she sent me these 2 colors to knit a pair of sample socks for her when she was doing a trunk show several years ago. And then told me that I could keep whatever was left. So it actually ended up being enough for a full pair of socks with contrasting heel and toe. So the contrasting toe color is one from Meg of Bad Wolf Girl Studios, and Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits. That's her podcast. It's in the Pepper Imps colorway. It's just this nice little pink color, which I thought went pretty well with these, with the main color. Even though those speckles sometimes look pink, they're actually purple. But I didn't have a good purple in my stash, so I went with the pink. And I actually think it turned out pretty well. That is all of my finished objects for this week. I really thought I was going to have more over the Christmas holidays, but just didn't get around to it. And speaking of the Christmas holidays, let's go ahead and launch into some of the projects that I was working on over the Christmas holidays. So these were ones that I knew I wasn't going to get finished by the end of the year because they were big projects, and it wasn't a realistic goal for me to think that I could get them finished by the end of the year. I did have plans to finish the body of this sweater by the end of the year, but tragically that didn't end up happening. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll recognize this. This is the Oxford Street pullover. This is a design of mine that's coming out sometime this year. I think it might be early next year. I'd have to sit down and look, but it's coming out at some point this year. I was saying like, oh, it's going to come out in March. And then when I sat down and actually figured it, I realized that I had things back to back and this just wasn't going to happen. So that's why this one isn't finished yet. So I put it on pause earlier in the year. I also had a little bit of a bit of a snafu with it, but I fixed it. It's fine. So it's just nice eyelet texture on the front, and then on the back it is stockinette, which I'll flip to the back and show you. This was where I was last time I recorded. So I've knit just a little bit over the Christmas holidays. Not much because I was finishing up those Sockmas socks and was also working on a couple of other projects, which I'll jump into in just a second. So the yarn used here is Lion Brand's Pound of Love in the Oxford Grey colorway. Again, it's what I had in stash, and if you know me or if you watched my 2021 intentions, I am trying to stash down as much as possible. Or not necessarily stash down, just kind of like use what I have on hand before I make an order when what I have could totally work. So these are being knit on US size 7. I'm using my Knit Picks Options interchangeables in like a 32-inch cord or something. It is the one with the purple cable. I think that's called the Options. Either way, this is a pattern that will coming out either by the end of this year or early next year. I don't remember when. I'm hoping by the end of this year, but we'll see. But yeah, I need to change this Progress Keeper because it is a little holiday light, which I sell in my Vessel Stitch Co. shop. I do need to change that out because it's no longer Christmas, so I can't have a Christmas light anymore. Next up, you'll have to excuse the state of this ball. I'm pulling from the center and it's totally caved in on itself. This is the Water Swirl Cardigan by Asita Krebs. I think is how you pronounce her name. I don't know. I'm using a gradient yarn. That's not what it's called for in the pattern. She has a solid color on hers. But this is what my sister picked out. This is a cardigan I'm making for my sister. And at each sleeve, it'll be easier to see once I split for the sleeves. But at each sleeve, there is this fun lace cable, which is super, super fun. And super easy to do. Like, it looked really complicated when I purchased the pattern. I'm somebody that has a fair amount of confidence in my skills, but it did look a little like, oh, I'm going to have to sit down and figure that out. And then when I actually went to knit it, it was pretty easy. As long as I pay attention when I'm doing it, it's fine. I am one row away from splitting for the sleeves. I am on the back side row, which I have to do the wrong side row instructions. And then once I get back onto the right side row, then I will split for the sleeves, which I am so, so excited about because my sister's like, I'm ready to wear this. And I'm like, I know. We live somewhere that's fairly warm, so it's not a whole lot of chance to wear like cardigans and stuff. I'm trying to get, so you can see that there are two colors. I think you can see it on camera pretty well. In person, it can be kind of hard to see that there are two colors there at the top, that there is a lighter color at the very top, and then the second color is pretty dark. Or not pretty dark, but it's darker. So yeah, that is the Water Swirl Cardigan by Asita Krebs, which it's one of my whips that I brought into 2021 that I am hoping to get finished before too long, because I would like to finish all of my outstanding whips throughout 2021, which I know is a big goal. The yarn I'm using for this is Lion Brand Cupcake in the Coffee Break colorway. Sorry, I have it taped so you can't actually see that it says Cupcake, but it does say Cupcake. I have it taped because when I rewound, or no, I didn't rewound the yarn, when the yarn started to like cave in on itself, I tape it, so I fold it over and then I'd tape it. But I tape it in a way that I can still read the colorway name, so if I was going to tape it again, I'd tape it like that. Again, apologies for this ball, I've been pulling from the center. And it is in the Coffee Break colorway, if I didn't say that. Hopefully you can see that. Super, super fun. It's a gradient skein. Again, this is something I had in stash. My sister picked it and asked if I would make something, and I said, absolutely, whatever you want. And then we decided the pattern together. Those are being knit also on my Knit Picks interchangeable set. That's a US size 6. I don't know what that is in millimeters, maybe a 4 millimeter. And I think I'm knitting that one on a 24-inch, maybe a 32-inch Chiaogu needle. I can't remember. Or not Chiaogu, sorry. Knit Picks Options interchangeable set. I think that's what I'm knitting it on, but yeah, it's either a 24-inch or a 32-inch. I'm pretty sure it's a 32-inch. Either way, it's going super well, and she's super, super excited to get it. So once I get the sleeves separated, it should just be easy coasting knitting until the end of the body. I will have to do some color management for the sleeves to kind of get it to match with the body, where the body changed colors to do that. I may also sit down and talk with her and see kind of her opinions on that, because she's somebody that sort of like, it doesn't have to be perfectly matched, but I know that she won't like it if it's completely like different colors. So I do need to sit down and talk with her and see how closely she wants me to match that, or if it matters that much to her. I don't know. The next outstanding whip that I brought with me into 2021 is my Madison Square Beanie Light, which is a pattern of mine that's coming out this year. I believe it's actually coming out in February, but again, I don't remember because I don't know my own schedule. This is what it looks like. If you watched the last podcast, I think I was like maybe here-ish, and now I'm all the way up there. I've actually started the crown decreases. I'm still on my 16-inch circular needle, which I'm using a US size 4, which I believe is like a 3 millimeter, 3.5. So 3.5 millimeter, I'm using my Chiaogu red lace 16-inch circular needles. That's what the yarn looks like, or the cabling looks like. So if you've been following the podcast for a while, or if you follow me on Instagram, you might know. In 2019, I released a beanie pattern called the Madison Square Beanie, which is a worsted weight cabled beanie. Super, super fun, super easy. A lot of people really love that one. It's one of my most popular ones. And I had always planned to design the light version, so the fingering weight version, which is what this is. And I know the fingering weight is obviously thinner than worsted weight, so I have done a few things in mind to combat that. So one being the folded brim, so that way you can have more warmth against your ears when this is on. Because for me, I find that when I'm like wearing a hat or whatever, the coldest part of me ends up being my ears, not really the top of my head. I think maybe because I have a lot of hair. But yeah, so I did do that with that in mind to make sure that, you have enough warmth for your ears. And this, because it is ribbing, you can actually like fold it up as high as you need it to go. It's still just going to be 2 layers thick. It's not going to, be any more than that. But yeah, I have mine just down here where the ribbing stops and it starts doing the cabling. That's another thing that I changed for this design, is that the cabling setup is not quite different. It's slightly different than what it is in the Madison Square Beanie, because the original, like actually written as is instructions for the worsted weight version just didn't work for the fingering weight version. For some reason, it just didn't look right. So I ended up having to kind of like finagle and do something slightly different. Very, very similar, but it does have its own little unique style, which is nice. Here's the yarn. If you've been following for a while, you'll know this by now. This is the Red Pansies Voyager Twist in the Gold Crest colorway. This is one of my absolute favorite colors. Gray and gold. You guys, that's me. I'm a Grello person. You heard it here first, folks. That's all of my works in progress that I want to share this episode. I do have others on the needles that were carried over from 2020, as well as a new design that I'm working on. I'm not ready to share that design yet. I did post kind of like a sneak peek on my Instagram on Christmas Eve, because I cast it on the day before Christmas Eve, kind of like as some Christmas knitting to do over the holidays, which was fun. I ended up working on a couple of other things as well, but I have made really, really good progress on this design. But again, I'm not quite ready to share the point that it's at with anybody. So until it kind of like gets further along and I make sure it's absolutely what's supposed to be happening, then I'll start sharing it more on the podcast. But I did want to share the bag that it's in, because I don't think I've actually shown this bag, because this is the bag that my Christmas socks lived in, my mystery Christmas sock pattern lived in for literally months. I had to keep some of it still in progress because I had to show like tutorials for specific design features. But those are now finished, so now I can use the bag for other things. So I just wanted to show you real quick. This is my Joy in the Stitches bag. Sorry, the light is blowing it out like a lot. But it's my Joy in Stitches bag, which is something I won from Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. She had, I can't remember what it was, if it was like her her summer sock camp cowl that I participated in, or it may have been the stash cowl. Either way, I won this bag, and that's now where all my pins live, which I know that they're kind of getting blown out, but this one here is the Crazy Sock Lady pin, which she sent me when I won this bag. It's just it's the button pin. It's her old Crazy Sock Lady pins. I super love them though. I'll use it. I like it. And then I purchased the Summer Sock Camp pin. And this is a pin that my friend gave me for Christmas as part of our Advent swap. This little coffee cup, which is so, so cute. And then this pin is one that a family member gave me for Christmas. So if you recognize that, then kudos to you. But that is the name of my absolute favorite character from MTV's Teen Wolf. If you don't know that about me personally, I mean, if you know me personally, then you'll know this, but Teen Wolf is my jam. MTV's 2011 Teen Wolf. That's where it's at. That's all of my works in progress, though, and kind of like everything. So just a little bit of a closing thing. My video for my 2020 stats and 2020 goals and intentions is live on my YouTube channel. I will leave a link to that in the description box below. I kind of go over stats, obviously, and I kind of go over goals, obviously. Don't know why I felt the need to explain that, but I kind of go over some of the things that I achieved in 2020, and I also talk about some of the things that I'm hoping to achieve in 2021. So that was really fun to film, and if you're interested in that type of thing, then you should check out the link in the description box where, you can see it and everything. And also comment your goals or your 2020 stats for me in the comments of that video, because I would love to go back through and read those and comment back to you and kind of like start a discussion, because that whole thing is fascinating to me. Not much to say as far as life chatter goes. Holidays were good. I kind of did a lot of knitting. It was a bit of a kerfuffle towards the end of the year there, but kind of got that sorted and taken care of. So it's all good. It's all looking up, and I'm super, super excited for 2021. I'm super excited for all things that, are going to happen and the plans that I have in place. And, I've been doing things in secret that I can't really talk about yet. It's because things haven't been finalized and nothing's been signed, but I'm super, super excited about some things that are potentially coming towards the end of 2021. I can't wait to share more with you guys. It's incredible, the things that I'm potentially going to be able to do this year. So can't wait to share more about that. I hope that your holidays were good. I hope that you had a lot of time to knit and everything. If you finished anything before, like towards the end of 2020, like right at the deadline, comment that below. Tell me what it is that you finished, because I was finishing my Sockmas 2020 socks, which were really close to the deadline, but I mean, not really close to the deadline. They were really close to being finished. I literally just kitchen under the toe, I believe, on December 30th, excuse me. But if you finish something like right at the deadline, right before midnight, tell me. I'd love to know. Next episode, I hope to have the stash acquisitions here to talk about. I did place an order with Eat Sleep Knit. I had some store credit from Christmas gifts and some other things, so I was able to use that as my first yarn of 2021, which I know the goal is like get more out of stash than what's coming in, because that's my goal for 2021. But Eat Sleep Knit has a yarnathon, and when you buy yardage, you win points and you win store credit. Just kind of made sense to make an order. So hopefully that'll be here within the next few days, and I can share it on next podcast. I don't know when it's going to be. If it's going to be a couple weeks from now or when, but hopefully by next podcast I will be able to show those to you. I'm super, super excited to get them. They're all stuff for designs that I'm anxiously awaiting. I think that's about it for this podcast. That wraps it up. I do hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you got some knitting done. I hope that you drank something nice and warm. I was drinking coffee during this, so I hope that you had fun. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast, and I will see you guys next time that I upload. Okay, take care. Bye.